Senator from Nevada.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to discuss the bill that's before us today. Energy and mineral development has been one of the central pillars of the Nevada economy, even before it joined the Union. The discovery of the Comstock lode transformed the state as miners rushed in and boom towns like Virginia and Austin were born. Today, we're the world leader in mineral production, while being at the forefront of national efforts to implement a 21st century all-of-the-above energy strategy. The Silver State produces over 80% of the gold and nearly 25% of the silver mined domestically. Mining contributes more than 13,500 jobs in Nevada alone, adding $6.4 billion to our state's gross domestic product annually. Nevada's renewable energy resources are among the best our nation has to offer. Over 2,300 megawatts of renewable energy projects have come online, roughly enough electricity to power over 4.6 million homes. In total, more than 23% of the state's total electricity generation comes from renewables. Our state is not only leading the way on clean energy production, it is a hotbed for research and development on energy efficiency and other alternative technologies that are critical to our nation's energy future. Tesla's development of its battery gigafactory at the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center and Faraday Future's recent announcement to build an automotive manufacturing facility in North Las Vegas ensures our state will be at the forefront of research and development of energy storage technologies and electric cars and vehicles for years to come. Energy is not only one of Nevada's, but overall one of our nation's greatest assets. But Congress has not enacted comprehensive energy legislation in a decade. So it's time to reform federal policies to reflect the energy and natural resource challenges of the 21st century. I commend the Majority Leader and the Chairman of the Energy Committee who have made energy policy modernization a focus for the 114th Congress. In our first week, we advanced the Keystone XL pipeline legislation and energy efficiency legislation. In the final days of 2015, we enacted a tax deal which included important policies I fought for that facilitated renewable energy production while lifting the crude oil export ban. And this week, we're focusing on a bipartisan energy policy modernization act. I appreciate the hard work of the bill managers, Energy and Natural Resource Committee Chairman Murkowski and Ranking Member Cantwell, who have put the time in to bring this proposal to the Senate floor. My colleagues all have a wide range of ideas on energy and environmental policy, and often these debates can become bitterly partisan. So both senators should be commended for approving a bill out of the Energy Committee by a bipartisan vote of 18-4. Mr. President, in the committee process, I worked with both senators to incorporate a couple of my standalone bills focused on streamlining mine permitting and the exploration of geothermal resources. One, the Public Lands Job Creation Act, S-113, and the second one was the Geothermal Exploration Opportunities Act, S-562, into the bill. I thank them for that and hope we can continue to process amendments that modernize federal energy policy. I have filed a variety of amendments aimed at spurring innovation, boosting job creation, increasing domestic energy and mineral production, and rolling back some of these burdensome regulations. One has already passed the Senate, and I hope the others will be included as well. Mr. President, I put forth two bipartisan proposals with my colleague from Rhode Island, Senator Jack Reed, focused on energy storage. Technological developments in energy storage has the potential to be a game changer for the electric grid, benefiting the reliability and efficiency of the overall system. Our first amendment simply adds energy storage systems to the list of strategies that states should consider in an effort to promote energy conservation and promote greater use of domestic energy. The second, which passed the Senate by voice vote on Monday night, enhances the Department of Energy's ability to use existing research dollars to develop state-of-the-art technology that can make our electricity grid faster and much more reliable. Energy storage should play an important role in our nation's long-term energy strategy. Mr. President, the Public Lands Renewable Energy Development Amendment, which I filed alongside with Senators Heinrich, Gardner, Risch, Tester, Wyden, Udall, and Bennett, is an initiative that I have been working on for many years. It recognizes that in our western states, there are millions of acres of public lands suitable for the development of renewable energy projects, but certainly in the permitting process that impedes or delays our ability to harness their potential. In a state like Nevada, where over 85% of our land is controlled by federal landlords, improving this permitting process is vitally essential. Our amendment does just that. It streamlines and improves the permitting process for utility-scale geothermal, wind, and solar energy on federal lands so that the West can continue to lead the nation in clean energy production. To advance this amendment, Senator Heinrich and I had to drop one of the important components of the proposal, provisions that would repurpose revenues generated by these projects to ensure our local communities benefit and to support conservation projects that increase outdoor recreation activities such as hunting, fishing, and hiking. In the West, where federal lands are not taxable and outdoor recreation is an important way of life, these provisions are extremely vital. And I hope we can find a path forward for this concept in the near future. While recent developments on battery storage, renewable energy production, and alternative fuel vehicles are exciting, I want to remind my colleagues that without a domestic supply of critical minerals like gold, silver, copper, and lithium, they all would not be possible. Far too often we take for granted that we need these important resources to manufacture those technologies and devices that are now part of our everyday lives, like our smartphones, our computers, and our tablets. I've worked with Chairman Murkowski and others on comprehensive mining legislation over the past few years and believe that it's key to our economy and our nation's security that those policies are part of a comprehensive package. I appreciate that our American Minerals Security Act is one of the titles of the bills that is now before the Senate. One of the biggest issues facing domestic mining, not just mining, but all natural resource development, is overly burdensome regulations. If our nation is truly going to capitalize on our domestic production potential, we need to rein in the Environmental Protection Agency. Outside of the IRS, the two federal agencies that draw the most ire from my constituents are the EPA and the BLM. Under this administration, the EPA is continuing down a path of destroying the balance between appropriate environmental oversight and overreaching regulations that lead to further economic gridlock. That's why I put forth an amendment that would block the EPA from finalizing one of their biggest attacks on domestic resources production, a rule to impose new financial assurance fees. If implemented, these requirements would further de-incentivize capital investments in the domestic mining industry. New federal requirements would be duplicative of financial assurance programs already in place in both the state and the federal level. EPA has made it clear their push on hard rock mining is the first of many in its plans to develop on various natural resource industries, such as chemical, coal, oil, and gas development. My amendment would prohibit the EPA from developing, proposing, finalizing, implementing, enforcing, or administering a new financial assurance regulations on natural resource development. I've also teamed up with my friend and colleague, Environmental and Public Works Committee Chairman Jim Inhofe, on my EPA accountability amendment. This amendment mirrors a bill I produced and introduced in the first weeks of this Congress and adopted by voice vote as part of the House Energy Bill, the North American Energy Security and Infrastructure Act. The EPA often ignores long-standing statutes that require them to improve their own regulatory coordination, planning, and review. Simply put, my amendment asks the EPA to abide by their own rules. Without oversight, the EPA has the authority to issue unprecedented regulations that could wreak havoc on our energy policies and prices. Energy costs seep into every aspect of the American life, and it's past time we stop the EPA in its tracks. Again, I want to thank Leader McConnell. I want to thank the Chairman, Murkowski, and Ranking Member Cantwell for working with me on my comprehensive energy bill policies. I hope we can take up these amendments, have them included in the final version of the bill that I'm confident will pass the United States Senate. These common sense initiatives will go a long way towards ensuring an affordable, secure, and reliable electric supply for our country. Mr. President, thank you. I yield the floor.
Yes, sir.
I suggest the absence of quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.